a big welcome to everybody who is here today. Thank you very much, Mr. Sola, for gracing us with your presence. Thank you. So let me just quickly do the honors of introducing, and then we'll go ahead and talk about what we have to talk about today. I hope that everybody who is here today will be able to gain significant value from this meeting. And then when we are done, we'll also ensure that within the communities, we can share this. We can have very quick next steps to know what to do, how to do, and how to go about it. We have closing on 100 people in the house already. I'm sure some people have buzzed to say they are in traffic on their way home, their way from work. So I guess more people are going to join us as we progress. The time now is 6:05. So I'm going to stop the music, and then we can start. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Today we're going to be listening to. I've been trying to rack my brain for exactly when we met.
Are you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear.
That would be 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You were in P&G.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
20 years ago.
Interesting. I just realized that you are my alumni. You are my alumni in my, in my school, in my department.
Yes. You didn't know that part.
it was when I was reading, people like, this is this is 10 years ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. So good. Very quickly today, let me introduce everybody in the house today. Well, today, one of the key things that we'll be talking about today is about financial inclusion. I think it's one of the things that is very big for Nigeria, getting as many people as possible on the database of making sure that they're using the banks electronically or digitally. And we have somebody today who is going to be leading us in that conversation, who has a right to lead us in that conversation. He's my friend, he's a senior colleague. We met 20 years ago, I'm sure. I know there are some people in this room as well who also know him. I'm sure there will be, in question and answer time, there'll be an opportunity for people to speak. And then we're also going to talk about, in parallel, there are a number of palliative initiatives for COVID-19 in terms of loans for businesses that the CBN is giving. We'll also learn some, discussion in that direction for people who want to know, how do I apply? What can I do? Are they really giving? Is it working? Is it real? We have somebody in the house who is able to talk effectively about that as well, because he's been working within those corridors. So very quickly today, I'd like to introduce to some and welcome for some who already know him, Mr. Sola Bickersteth. Sola Bickersteth is the president of the Society of Agent Banking in Nigeria and a financial inclusion specialist with over 25 years experience managing various pioneering projects for the presidency, the Central Bank of Nigeria, NIPOS, NIMC, INEC, National E-Government Strategies, and several state governments, as well as international institutions such as IMF and the World Bank. He's a PhD graduate of the Harvard Business School, USA. He graduated from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in 1991 with a BSc in Elect, Electronics and Electrical Engineering. He's a certified digital identity management system specialist and a participant in the World Bank Financing for Development project. Sola was part of a team that introduced the BVN, Bank Verification Number, in the Nigerian banking sector, as well as the SIM card registration with NCC, electronic testing of candidates for JAMB, National Agri Payment Initiative, NAPI, for the farmer ecosystem across Nigeria, as well as the ongoing World Bank-sponsored National Identity Number ecosystem by NIMC, amongst others. After selling his pioneering e-payment company, Naira.com, to Champs PLC in 2008, he then led the team that built the world's largest cyber center, as recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records in 2009. Over the past 10 years, he has consulted on deployment of agent banking networks for the First Bank of Nigeria, Sterling Bank, Heritage Bank, Echo, InterSwitch, Cellulance, GT Bank, CBN, NABWIT Project, etc. He has conducted various capacity building sessions with the locally and internationally for the CBN, National Association of Microfinance Banks, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, as well as the Nigerian Postal Service, Financial Services Projects, now NISRAL MFB. So today we're going to have the opportunity to listen to him and to be able to ask him plenty of questions. Now, if you look at your page before you, there's a question and answer button, which you can use to curate your question and answers as you have them. Please do not do question and answer in the comment box. Do the question and answer in the question and answer section, so that once your question is going to be answered, we'll tick on it. And once it's answered, we'll click done, so that we can cover as many questions as possible. But first of all, I'd like us to listen. I have my own questions of my own, to say how much did he make from selling naira.com and those kind of questions. I'm not sure it's what he wants to answer, which I'm not sure he wants to answer today. But we'll have an opportunity to ask questions about, if I want to get into this, how do I get into this? What are the opportunities here? One of the reasons why we're doing this in the green community is because we're looking for opportunities for our members, our distributors, and our general members. So if you're here in the house today, please help me in the comment section. Welcome into the podium today as he shares with us very briefly. And then we have ample time for question and answer, Mr. Sola Bickersteth.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. It's always my pleasure to share information. I suspect I have a lot of senior colleagues that are going to be joining us this evening. What I'm going to be doing in the next 15 minutes will just be to do a background setting, and then we can discuss, because I'm sure the questions will be much more than the what do you call it?
Allotted time.
Yes. So it's just going to be a very quick presentation that I'm going to make. So very shortly, I'm going to share my screen. But I'd like to ask all of us one question, because we're all talking post-COVID now, and that's really where this conversation will be focused on. What is the opportunity for all of us moving forward? Shortly after the lockdown, and they allowed everybody to start moving around, the banks were invaded, if I'm allowed to use that word. And what I'd like us to just keep in mind, some of us will have seen some of those pictures on social media, is that is the opportunity. And, so that is evidence of what is going to happen moving forward. So what I'm going to do in the next 15 minutes is to just give us a background of how we got here, more or less, in the past few years. And then, of course, what the moving forward is going to look like, more or less. Can we all see my screen now?
Very clearly.
Okay. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm just going to quickly give us a background so that we can then discuss. I'm going to talk about the agent network industry in Nigeria, what the federal government has been doing, and like I said, the kind of pictures we're now seeing where everybody is now rushing to the banks. And the initial thinking was, okay, they were going there to go and get money, but it turned out that they were really people that had issues with electronic channels, and they needed, to get to the bank to resolve it, more or less. So those are the three things that I'm going to be talking about very, very quickly. Okay. So in 2012 or thereabout, federal government decided that a financial inclusion strategy was necessary. It was launched with fanfare, and it's a fairly big document. But to summarize it and specify it to our conversation, what they said is that by the year 2020, there'll be 4,000 branches, 3,000 money branches, 51,000 ATMs, 122,000 bank agents, and 55,000 mobile agents. So what does that mean? Now, at that time, there were over 5,000 branches. And the first question is, why would federal government say there'll be less branches as they had now? Of course, we all know that over the years, banks have consolidated and they started shutting down their branches. So that prediction has proven right, more or less. Now, the mini branches would be the microfinance banks, post office locations, and stuff like that. There are about 1,000 microfinance banks, and just about a month ago, microfinance banks are now allowed to operate as agent bankers. We don't have 55,000 ATMs yet, but we're closer to about 25,000 now, and clearly it's growing rapidly. But let us pay attention once again to the last two lines of what the prediction is. There will be 122,000 bank agents, which is a figure that is twice the number of ATMs, and there will be 55,000 mobile agents. Those two have been deliberately separated, and as I do a quick review of what we're talking, you will understand why that separation has happened. But let's pay attention to the 122,000 packages. So this is CBN's financial inclusion document. So from a regulatory perspective, what CBN did, or to qualify properly, agent network, as they were speaking, is a subset of the financial inclusion strategy. And to make it a reality, CBN, first of all, released a guideline on mobile money operators. I was the MD of one of the mobile money companies at the time, and they issued licenses. In 2013, they issued guideline on agent banking and agent banking relationships in Nigeria. And then in 2015, a framework for licensing super agents. And of course, just 2 years ago, they released the guideline for payment service banks. So those are the regulatory activities that have been taking place in the past 10 years. So as of today, we have 26 mobile money licensed operators. The popular ones are the Pagas of this world. Konga bought a mobile money license. Cellulat is the company that handles the agric disbursement of farmers. We know the e-transacts of this world. And recently, OPay took the industry by storm. Those are mobile money operators. Of course, also as of today, the agent banking guideline allows a commercial bank, microfinance bank, essentially a financial service institution, to appoint a third party as an agent. And practically every bank today now has an agent banking desk or a financial inclusion desk. 10 organizations have been licensed as super agents. Flutterwave, the popular ones, Innovatics, NIPOS is also licensed. InterSwitch set up a subsidiary, 3Line, Inlax, and the rest. MTN also has a super agent license as of today. But of course, there are now 3 licensed payment service banks. O is owned by Unified Payments, which is owned by the commercial banks, more or less. Nine Mobile has one, and then Money Master from Glo. So those 3 today are licensed as payment service banks by the, well, let me put it properly. Actually, they have approval in principle from the CBN to operate as payment service banks. Now, from what is going on generally, the shared agent network facility was launched also about 2 years ago, and the target of SANEF is to create 500,000 agents across Nigeria and issue BVN to every adult that doesn't have one as of today, and they're ready to pay for it. The financial inclusion strategy, as I've spoken about, says that there'll be 170,000 basic agents. But it now recognizes a separate category of agents called agent bankers, which is also part of what we're going to be talking about. There are 300,000 POSs. There are 65,000 recognized agents in Nigeria today. But I'd like us to also pay attention to the last line of this presentation, which is what we are going to call professional agents. You know, in the medical industry, there are pharmacists and there are chemists, and you can tell the difference. All right, the chemists are everywhere, but the pharmacists operate at a higher level. What has not happened in the agent network industry today is that professional level, that pharmacy level, that centers that are set up to practically replace bank branches. So I'm hoping, I'm going to interest a number of us this evening, that the moving forward for Nigeria, those crowds that we saw trooping to the bank branches are going to, in moving forward, start looking for bank branch replacement locations. Locations that are, peopled by, staff that are as competent as the staff that we have in bank branches today. And they have the same set of equipment. So essentially, people are going to start meeting banks that are shutting down their branches and say, you know what, let me take over that your bank branch. Because, of course, everything is going electronic, and the human layer is still an important, and that is where the business opportunity lies. So that's the industry statistics. At the federal government level, there's been a lot of initiative around get as many Nigerians as possible, especially those in the rural areas, to at least own a bank account, because that's a starting point. And I've spoken about SANEF. SANEF is a 21 billion Naira fund that was contributed by all the banks. And of course, they're ready to finance the growth of, access to finance. So most of us will see what has become popular now is what we call the POS. You'll see POS here, and a number of us are now used to, rather going to an ATM, we'll go to where there's a POS sign. But the sign that we should actually be looking for will be a SANEF sign, and they're doing a lot about that. Some of us might have seen some of those agents, they write SANEF there. So SANEF is what it's done, but it's well funded, and they're doing quite a lot of good work. Now, the social investment program also kicked off in 2015, and the target is 1.4 million small businesses, market women, traders, farmers, youths, to access different categories of loans. Now, the social housing fund project is also there. It's $1 trillion, essentially to make 1 million naira available to, as mortgage, to, rural areas, villages. They don't need more than that to build a palatial place. But there's a lot of activities going on with Bank of Agri, Development Bank of Nigeria, Bank of Industry, just taking initiatives to make loans available to everybody. Now, Let's LMAB is the one that has been making noise recently and talking about, now you can access COVID loan, and they want to make it available to as many Nigerians as possible. But that is the moving forward opportunity for all of us. Now, because it is a partnership between CBN and NIPOST. NIPOST, so because they have branches everywhere in the country, and CBN because there's so much development finance available. The challenge is how to help people to access those loans. And once again, that is where the opportunity is. So, moving forward, when people need to open bank accounts, they will not need to go to bank branches any longer. They will start going to agent locations that can give them BVN, can issue them prepaid cards, can essentially do all the things that they would have had to go and do at a bank branch. Of course, microloan disbursement is all over the place. The one that the federal government has been doing, they've been disbursing them through agents. And some agents, I had a colleague who was telling me that, the disbursement he did some years ago, they paid him 100 million. I said, well, good for you. And he claims they are still owing him money. I said, okay. But that is the kind of money we're talking about that agents can now do, because that space is there, and the bank branches are proven to be inadequate for what we want to do. Of course, we've seen that cash withdrawals are also moving away from banks, and it's just going to get only even more serious. So I've had a light out here. I'm just going to request that they switch on the lights for me, and then I'll be able to continue. Apologies about that. And then, of course, a lot of these agents are now needing cash to move money around, and some of them are doing businesses as much as 10 million a day, especially those that are located within markets and places like that. And there is now some people whose only business is to move money around agents, borrow agents money for a day, and then get a a daily interest for making cash available to those agents. So those are the trends that are going to happen in Nigeria because, of course, movement is now being localized even more and more, and that is exactly what is going to happen. All right. So specifically, what we have done is to put up a framework that enables people to take advantage of these opportunities that we've spoken about. And that is by setting up what we call professional agent locations. Now, you cannot open a bank account for somebody if you cannot do BVN. And if the person doesn't have an ID card, you have to do a national ID for that individual. Of course, agent banking means that you have to have a relationship with the financial institutions. Cash moving away from the branches means that agent locations will also start handling a lot more cash and cashless services, e-commerce delivery, of course, and loan disbursements are specific opportunities that are going to come up as these things are taking place. So that is the quick introduction I'd like to have. And then I'd like us to now start discussing specific opportunities. We're here today because it is not everybody that can become a professional agent. Mm-hmm. And there are some basic requirements. If you are in a local area and people don't trust you, if you set up an agent location, you're not going to get customers. If you're located in your BQ, you're not going to get customers. If you don't have enough cash and people come and they try to do a cash withdrawal, by the time they do it once or twice, they're going to stop coming. Of course, you need competent staff. By the time you start getting to levels of loan disbursement, customer support, ATM card issuance, and stuff like that. Of course, there are guidelines on who can be an agent. And part of why we're having this session is because there's some pre-screening that is taking place. You have to more or less pre-select people that can become the highest level of agent bankers and not the lower level that we see. Most of the agents that we see today, we call them cash-in, cash-out agents. They are basic agents, but they can't get to the level of account opening, BVN, issuance, identity management, issue resolution, which requires some amount of competence to be able to handle those kind of opportunities. Of course, when you want to get into the business, you want to do it at a serious level, you need some amount of planning, which is what we do as an institution. So I'm going to pause there so that we can have good time to discuss. I'm just also going to quickly stand up so that I can get them to switch on the lights and then we can continue.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think we can begin to put our questions together. I think we've gotten the general gist on what the agency banking model is, the opportunity that exists within the space, the number of people that are being created in that direction. Another thing. Okay, you're welcome. So I was basically asking people to, get their questions ready. I think you've given a clear overview of what is available, what exactly the CBN is doing, what exactly the financial inclusion system is about, the opportunities that are present in the things that people can enroll to be a part of. And for many of who are in today, they already know about the opportunity to become to become agents by having a center that they can probably get some financing from CBN4 to get things happening. So we can have those questions being put together as soon as you share your link, and I think your power is back, and then I can engage you a few questions directly, pending when people's questions begin to come in. Okay,
All
great.
right then.
Yeah. So I think the first question I would like to ask before they get ready with theirs, uh, and I can see that already we have like 5 questions in the window are popping up. So are we saying that these agents
Yes.
will be disbursing loans, they will be giving people withdrawals, they will be registering BVN, they will be giving identity cards, or am I mistaken?
Yes. So the agent banking guideline allows all of that activity to happen. But just to keep in mind that it is not automatic. You have to qualify to be able to do those things. So each bank has their qualification requirements. But once you meet those qualification requirements, yes, as of today, we have agents who can do account opening, who are doing substantial account opening, BVN registration, loan disbursement, and collection, and all those activities. Yes.
Okay.
Subject to qualification, is not automatic.
Okay, I get that. So there are a few questions I like to, I just like to roll the questions that they're asking them so that we can just say
Yes.
it's answered, is answered. So what is saying, is there any payment required before a person can access the NERSAL MFB loan?
Okay, so remember that NISAL is an MFB.
Okay.
So what a lot of us are familiar with as of today is the COVID palliative loan. Now, the COVID palliative loan does not require
Payments.
any payments or any of that. The way it's structured is for you to show evidence that you've been in business, and some factor of your cash flow is then made available to you as loan because of the COVID issues, and then you have 3 years to pay back and 1 year moratorium. That is specific to the COVID loan. But there are all sorts of other loans that are available. So it is not dependent on the loans. On a general basis, the collateral requirements for accessing those loans are less than what a commercial bank would release. And I'm aware that on a general note, cash contribution for certain types of finances is about 30%. So that would be like the highest contribution requirements that is likely for other types of loans that Nistral MFB may have.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Somebody's asking this as well. It says, what security and insurance support will agents get? I'm thinking having an office that disburses cash will be an easy target for thieves.
Yeah, great question. So there is what is called fidelity insurance, which is essentially, insurance against movement of cash. I know that as at about 3 years ago, it was increased to 1 million for agent locations. So, of course, if you're a well-structured agent, it is in your interest to have fidelity insurance at your location. I suspect that sometime soon, that 1 million is going to be increased to, maybe 5 or 10 million because of the activity that is now going on at agent locations.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking as well. Is it going to really be cash? Are they going to really be dealing in cash like that? And is it only insurance that is security? Is there any other form of security as well, or is it just cash?
Yes. So, if you're a professional banker, fidelity insurance is your base. It's just to say that when they show gun at you, God forbid, you don't fight. Just save yourself, more or less. But what is expected of you is to set up a process that secures your operations generally. So you want to do cash management. You will notice in my slide, this was part of what I mentioned as part of the planning that needs to be put in place. So cash management is liquidity management is important. You don't want to have too much cash. You don't want to have too little cash at any point in time. So that requires some amount of planning. Remember, I also said that part of what agents will now be doing is what is called cashless services, which means that if you're in a local area and everybody is used to handling cash, you as an agent can now start introducing cashless payment channels to them. And so all the USSD code options, even POS disbursements now to merchants, electronic payment channels and stuff like that. So that becomes part of the services you can offer as alternative to cash in your local community. Let's keep in mind, at that level of agent banking, you are a professional. You are really operating at a very high level. And so you're able to help your local community to go as cashless as they are able to. All right. And of course, the less cash you handle, the better for you and the safer for everybody around you.
Okay. There's another question here. And I think we can spell this out clearly at the communities in the WhatsApp groups. But I think you can give a quick answer to this as well. What are the steps and criteria to become an agent?
Okay, so there are categories of agents. A cash-in, cash-out agent, as we know it, really can be anybody. Some students are cash-in, cash-out agents. All you need is a phone, essentially, and maybe 10,000 naira in your wallet, and you can start the basic, sell recharge card for people around you and stuff like that. Those are people that we call basic agents. And majority of agents, 90% of agents, will fall into that category. Those are the ones we see around today. Now, at a higher level of operation, each bank has its requirements. So for example, if you're going to do BVN, you must have a laptop, camera, and stuff like that. They may be able to support you with the BVN machine, which is the photo scanner, but is also part of the requirements, more or less. By the time you start getting to card issuance and stuff like that, also the bank will do some higher profiling of you, some background check on you, to be sure that they're not giving you sensitive materials, you're competent and capable of handling them. So it's a case by case basis, but on a general basis, at a professional level, for a financial inclusion center, location is the starting point. You must have a location that is accessible on a major road, has public toilets, essentially a mini bank branch, more or less, if you like. And then staffing is now, the next step. You need to have staff that are more or less as competent as bank tellers, that we see in the banking halls today. Then, of course, liquidity is the third bit of it. If you are set up properly, you are likely to need a lot more cash than somebody who's just operating a basic recharge card type of business. So location, staffing, liquidity, equipment, your photo scanner, laptops, reliable connectivity, and stuff like that. Those are the requirements. Each institution has its own requirements to qualify you to and determine the amount of service and level of service that you can provide on their behalf.
Okay, very good. Someone else is asking as well. It says, what are the policies and regulations that will drive the operations of various models you have shared with us? I think you've already answered that. So it's
yes, I started from that. Yeah,
at different levels. So I think that's done. Someone is saying agent requirements. Can I have Mr. Shola's contact? The answer is you can have access to the green community. We will share the contacts with you there. So I've answered that question. Another person is asking, I have a cooperative society that has been running for about 2 years. I give micro loans to petty traders to boost business. How do I benefit from this CBN financial inclusion? Is there something?
Very good. Yes. So one of the initiatives of the federal government is what is called the General Enterprise Enhancement Program. It is in three levels as of today. There is the market money. There's the trader money that most of us have seen on TV, and then there's the farmer money. But the market money is the one that is specific to groups. So the idea is you have a group of traders, they form a cooperative, and that cooperative is registered, is handled by the Bank of Industry. So the cooperative is registered by the Bank of Industry, and of course, loans are now disbursed to the members, and they're required to pay over 6 months. The loan initially started at 100,000; it was reduced to 50,000. We're about to start another round in the next few weeks. So please look out. Once the details are out, I'm sure it will also be in the open. But clearly, we'll be actively involved. And those are part of the things that people that now have centers will be able to support their local community to do and earn a decent income, From doing that, you'll be shocked at the kind of potential income that comes from that kind of activity.
Okay, when you say having a center, you're talking about this same agency centers.
Yes, financial inclusion centers.
So they can use these financial inclusion centers to also support the cooperatives that they are running as well.
That's it. Okay. Remember that part of the services are business loans. You are disbursing loans on behalf of federal government, Bank of Industry, Nestle MFB, Development Bank, even commercial banks, the micro loan providers, all those people, you are just the agents. And, so that process of qualifying applicants, supporting applicants, training applicants, disbursement, support recovery and all of that. You get paid, for all of that.
Okay. So he's saying here, I'll merge 3 questions together now so that we can move faster as well. It says, what financial status will one have to be an agent at that level? And then this person saying, for the agents, as part of their requirements, will there be an insurance cover?
That's been answered.
And then are these agents going to be attached to particular banks with all these banking activities, or how are they going to work?
Okay, great. So I'll start with the last question.
Yeah.
The agent banking guideline specifically has a clause that is called the non-exclusivity clause. So what it means is that a bank cannot approach you and say, only you can be my agent. What it says is that an agent is allowed to sign with as many financial institutions as they have the capacity to. So you can't have an exclusive relationship, but you must sign with the various financial institutions for you to be able to provide services on their behalf. But if you can sign with everybody, so be it. And that is part of what SANEF is now doing. Part of the products that SANEF is introducing would allow, for example, an agent to be able to open a bank account for any bank, more or less, to do BVN for anybody, even if they don't have a bank account. So those things are being centralized to a large extent by SANEF, So I've spoken about the insurance. Yes, there's fidelity insurance available for the agent. I've also spoken about the requirements. You need a location that is more or less like a mini bank branch. You need some amount of liquidity. You need some equipment, laptops, scanners, essentially the kind of things you will find in a bank branch. Just go and look for a branch that is closing down around you and offer to take over their branch from them.
Okay. So I think for clarity as well, there are 2 sides to this. I think there are people who can, based on what they are running currently already, they don't even need any financial loans to be able to progress. They already have the equipment, they already have the location, they already have everything. It's just going to be a matter of apply, plug and play. Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct.
And there are those who probably are looking for facilities. So somebody's asking, as an existing aggregator to some mobile money operators, what do I need to become a professional agent service, to become a professional agent? So somebody's asking that. And that person is asking, so the person is already aggregating for mobile money.
Yes.
Somebody's asking, can you please shed more light on the initial microfinance bank?
Yes.
And another person is asking, can a public servant go into this business?
Very much so. It's interesting because I was with a public servant friend of mine 2 days ago, and specifically is retiring in a few months' time. And so the purpose was to guide him on the steps he needs to take to set up a financial inclusion center. So definitely yes, it's a good retirement plan option. We have a lot of parties that that's what they're doing right now, and they're civil servants. The initial MFB was set up as a partnership between CBN and NIPOST. Now, the purpose of the initial MFB is to help the public generally to access what we call development finance. Because before now, the only way you can access those development finance is through commercial banks. And, CBN has found out that it's not as effective as they would have loved it to be, because the commercial banks, prefer to focus on the big players and not the small players. So NISRA is going to have a setup in every post office. Right now, they have at least one branch in all the geopolitical zones of Nigeria. They're setting up branches in all the states. But they're going to be largely driven by agent activities. So they have a program where they qualify agents to what we call enterprise development centers. So the center essentially means that you will have a place where you can train people, because part of the challenge that we need to overcome in Nigeria is knowledge. And so they want a situation where you're borrowing people money, you can train them, just let them understand the basics of bookkeeping, and business management and stuff like that. So if you set up your center to have a small training facility, then you can become an EDI for NISRA. You can apply to become an EDI for NISRA, and of course, people in your community can now apply for those loans through you. Of course, the loans are in single digits. Maximum is 9%. Most of the time, it should be around 5% per annum. And they're usually, the collateralization requirement is very much more simpler than commercial loans. Like I said, it's not likely to be 30% collateralization. And then they take movable assets. Nigeria has a collateral registry, which they are fully subscribed to. So you can use your car, your TV, your hair dryer, as collateral for the kind of loans that will come out of NISRA.
Interesting.
Yes. So if you're an existing aggregator, it's as simple as, like I said, first of all, upgrading your operations. So most of us today as aggregators, we just work with POSs and mobile phones. When you want to move to the next level, you need to start, requesting for 442 scanners. Those are the ones that you use for the PVN. You need to have laptops. You need to have reliable connectivity. So equipment is the first step. Then the next step is now the competence of your staff. Just keep in mind that you're now selling products on behalf of the financial institutions. And it's not as simple as people just come and say, I need cash, take cash. I want to pay for NEPA and all those things. It is now, I want to open an account. I want to apply for a loan. So you don't need to be a professional yourself, but you need to ensure that the staff that are in your location are, competent. Competence is not, we're talking about just OND, that can do basic tailoring services. Of course, part of what we do is we provide training so that those people can, be better qualified. Those are the basic things, and, you can move up.
Okay, great. So just a quick interruption. Please, if you have questions, push them into the question and answer space, not at the comments. We already have about 34 questions in the question and answer space. So before it gets to comments, we will have been out of here. So you can curate it there so that as we're going line by line, we can take the questions. I will try and merge a few questions together. So we have here, Bolanle Oladako is asking, well done, sir. How does a cooperative benefit considering what they presently do at the grassroots? I think that question has already been answered for a previous cooperative. So I think he can get application for his answer from there. Somebody is asking, Mike is asking, what is the amount of loan that an agent can disburse? And what's the collateral required? And then another person is asking, good afternoon, good evening, and greeting us and saying, thanks for taking out your time to do this. While I ran through your slides, I saw something about agent bankers, bankers agents. My question is, does this have anything to do with professional bankers also being given opportunities to become agents? Somebody's asking for that. And then the third question is from Sam Sal. I applied for loan, which I was called and asked if all the necessary documents has been sent, which I said yes. The lady asked how many years I will pay off the loan. I told her 3 years based on the terms and conditions guiding the loan. Up till now, no adequate response, either eligible or not. I'm sure that's about Miss Rao.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the first question, I'd like to, one of our agent partners called me, this was 3 years ago. He was excited that he had been able to help one of his customers to secure a loan. And so I said, so why are you so excited? They approved 600 million naira loan, for his customer.
Wow.
That is how far you can go as an agent banker.
Wow. 600 million.
So, yes. So he was able to help that customer to, put up a business plan, submit all the necessary documents and all of that. But so today, in actual fact, the guy called me and he said, can I apply that he wants to apply for a microfinance license. I said, what do you need microfinance for? You're already disbursing more money than microfinance banks. Today, he has over 3,000 beneficiaries, and the total of his loan portfolio is about 2 billion. He's an agent banker.
Wow.
So we're not talking of we're talking about agent banking at the highest level. Of course, in actual fact, we have a special agreement with Chartered Institute of Bankers because professional bankers more or less are pre-qualified. We have a lot of people who are tired of core banking as we have them today, and clearly they are working with us to set up their own professional agent location and use their professional capacity to earn some decent money for themselves. So that is definitely a common trend, actually. So we'll be happy to see a lot of professionals. There are no interest-free loans. There are no interests. I think, like I said, 5%, maximum 9% per annum, but it cannot be 0%. However, I'm aware of at least 2 states that what they did was to apply for the loans on behalf of the citizens of their state. They got the loan at 2% from CBN, and then they covered that 2%, interest on behalf of their beneficiaries. So at the end of the day, it came at 0% to their citizens. I know 2 states that did that, but that is specific to a state arrangement. But from CBN or from NISTRA, you're not going to get 0%.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, the person that had applied for the loan. Remember what we said. 80,000 people have applied for these loans in the past few weeks alone. So the reality is that they are swamped. And once again, remember what I said. This is where the opportunity is, because they're looking for competent people that can help them to qualify applicants. So the moment you qualify as an agent to all this loan disbursement, of course, it is you that applicants will now be coming to disturb, sorry. And how efficient you are helping those applicants is now up to you. It's no more up to the center. So there's a big gap between the number of people applying and the people that are on ground to help those applying to qualify. Okay. That's why we said the opportunity to set up a center in your community so that you are not the one that is helping the people in your community to qualify for these loans.
Okay.
Respond.
Yeah. So I would ask for something extra, sir.
Yes, please.
So for some of the people in our community who have this kind of challenge, we can aggregate some of their requests.
Yes.
To you, because we know you have access to the agents that can help. So I think we may be able to do that, since we're also, just maybe a few people getting together, we can get somebody to help us check, pending when we become qualified agents ourselves. Somebody's asking. I hope that's okay, sir.
Yeah, no, it's more than okay.
Okay, great. So there's somebody asking here. I know Oladile Adeton is asking, is there any assurances that the qualification and selection process is free from power influence, as it is reminiscent of every Nigerian sector or system? I think that's an easy answer, so I will allow you to do that.
Well, we're still in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the reality is that everybody that has one form of influence or the other is using it.
Yeah.
You just did that yourself too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but what I would like to assure all of us is that we've been part of loan disbursement for about 800,000 beneficiaries in the past 5 years. I know that I don't know 99% of them personally. We just do a professional job. So yes, there are people who are lucky enough, they are close to one state governor somewhere, one senator, and those people are helping them to fast track the process. That is true, but that is not stopping the other people from being able to access, these loans for sure.
Okay. So, okay, fair enough. So I think, yeah, it's, people will try and fast track their own with influence. But if the proper system works, then, everybody, they will come around to everybody. It's just a matter of time. Somebody's asking here, does an agent require any pre-banking experience? I think the answer is no. What equipment and facilities are needed on ground to start up if you are qualified? There's a document we have that has all the charter of what is required. That document will be shared with everybody in the green community, and the costs. Every machine you need, all the costs. The one you send to me, I'll share it.
Yes.
With them.
Yeah.
I've PDF
Absolutely.
so I can share with them. What's the channel to process the loans with NIPOS? So there's a link also that was shared with me. That link will be shared within the community as well, of how people can apply. So I think I can answer that person's question. I think that's done. Efosa Edopol is asking, are the agent bankers going to be affiliated to specific or all banks? How does this differ from what companies like Paga, etc. are currently offering?
Yes. I said it. There's a non-exclusivity clause in the agent banking guideline, but the agent determines who they want to do business with. So you can sign with 3 banks, you can sign with 2 banks, you can sign with all the banks. I also said that SANEF is providing a common platform where you can practically plug onto SANEF and you can more or less represent all the banks. So those are the things that are happening now. Now, Paga, you cannot do account opening for Paga. Paga is a mobile money platform. You can use them to transfer money and stuff like that. But you cannot open a bank account with Paga. That's the difference. But you can use the wallet to do transactions. They are part of the ecosystem. If you saw my presentation, I recognize mobile money operators, banks, agents, super agents, and the rest.
Okay. So quick question. The one we are doing with you, the one we are doing with the organization that we're registering to do with you, this already covers SANEF, covers, or what does it cover?
Yes. So what we do is we're an agent management organization.
Okay.
And what we do is we help people who want to become agents to qualify.
Okay.
So if you want to get involved in national ID, we're able to qualify for, to become a sub-licensee of the national ID system. If you want to open bank accounts for a bank, so we support you with all that process to qualify. But at the end of the day, you're going to be the agent of those institutions. We don't have any service that we provide. Of course, we also help you to support you, for example, to access loans that you can use to set up and stuff like that.
Okay. Someone is asking a question. I think this question is very direct to the application we've asked people to fill before. Saying, I have a business and I use the account often. However, my personal account has more turnover in the last 10 months. Can I merge my personal and business accounts to qualify?
Really, you can't. So the assumption is that you're either using your personal account for business or you're using your business account for business. It's not expected that you're combining both. So usually you're asked to provide one bank account statement. So if you provide as an individual, it is your individual statement that will be looked at. If you apply as an institution or as a registered company, it is the company account that will be looked at. But you can use either or. Of course, companies are better, and I encourage us, even if it's just a business name, register it. Some of the banks don't approve individuals for certain level of services.
Okay. So, I think that takes care of that. It said it's a newly incorporated company qualified for this agency.
You can incorporate newly.
Yes, I think the answer is yes. I think why the person is asking whether they can merge their accounts is to apply for the loan for setup.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
So unfortunately, you can't merge. You have to pick one of the two.
Yes. Okay, great. Somebody is saying, can you please dwell more on the COVID palliative loan? And then another person is asking, so just a little bit of thoughts there. Another person is asking, can a company that deals with loans thrift under a structure system become an agent? So what's the answer to that?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that one of the things that was done a few weeks ago is that microfinance banks and microfinance institutions can now also become agents. It wasn't specifically listed by CBN for microfinance banks before now, but now it's specifically listed. So definitely yes. In actual fact, the people that we deal with a lot are existing microfinance institutions that we help to set up agent locations. So definitely you are already pre-qualified, more or less. COVID palliative. The COVID palliative, of course, is aimed at supporting businesses to wage through what is anticipated to happen. It does not require collateralization. It's a 3-year facility, 1-year moratorium, 5% interest rate. And the way it is structured now is that if you provide 2-year bank statements, your bank statement will be looked at. And let's say your turnover last year was 10 million. So a factor of 40% will be used, and then you can qualify for 4 million based on your turnover. However, it is likely that amount will even be reduced further because the amount of people that have applied is so much that part of what is being considered is if you're using only the factor alone, some people will qualify for 20 million, but the 20 million is not available for them. But definitely something will be made available to them. So I encourage you, go ahead and apply and submit your documents. It's real. It's not, it's not some sort of theory. But also to keep in mind that Nestle as an institution is not just into palliative. This palliative is specific to COVID-19, but they have financing for practically every type of business. And, so if you have a proper business plan and you have something that, you want to do, so the palliative is a factor of your cash flow over the past 2 years, but you can apply for other loans. It won't be as fast as the palliative, but they are also available.
Okay. Someone is asking me an important question here. It says, is there a central software platform used by the agents to manage the business end to end, or do they have to do Excel sheets, etc.? Ayolade Joy is asking.
Absolutely no Excel sheets. They are providing banking services. So at the basic level, if you're a mobile money agent, they'll provide some sort of application software for you that you can download on your phone, and you can use to do transactions. And usually there'll be somewhere in that application where you can see the transactions you did, yesterday, the past 1 week, the past 1 month, how much you made, and all of that. Of course, at the higher level, it's the same thing. The banks will expose you to, the necessary software that you need for account opening, BVN registration, and all of that. But I also said that SANEF specifically is working on a common platform that everybody can connect to, and that platform just gives you access to everybody. And I'm sure they're going to share that sooner rather than later. So they are becoming the central point. So there's all sorts of software that we made available to you for the various services that you're going to be rendering.
Okay, so if somebody has a state-of-the-art software that can be used by SANEF, then it may not be a bad idea. The best person to pitch to will be SANEF at this point.
To be SANEF, but I'm likely to only want to deal with you if you are a licensed operator.
Okay, I'm sure we can take that offline.
Yes.
After this, yeah. So I think we've run over our own way. We still have plenty of questions, like 47 of them. And
wow.
Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. What I think we're going to do is we're going to do all we can do in the next 5 minutes and then close this session. And then I'm going to beg you for another session before the end of this week so that we can continue.
No problem. No problem.
So somebody says, I'm a qualified accountant with over 10 years banking experience. I understand all business areas of the agent banking from BVN registration to loans disbursement. Am I qualified to be an agent based on my qualification and experience? I think you're more than qualified.
It's people like you we're looking for.
So they're looking for people like you. So, let's connect and let's see how we can push it forward. Somebody's asking a very good question about security. So other than insurance, is there any other security? Because, people are being attacked, by robbers. So insurance means I can basically tell them, come, take the money and go.
Yes, sir.
Beyond insurance,
subject to 1 million.
Subject to 1 million.
Today.
So
it will be increased. Yeah.
Yeah. So what other security means is available?
Sorry about that. Yeah, so remember what I said. What makes you a professional is that you are going to set up a process that manages the security of the environment. All right, that's part of what we do. So we help in setting up all that process that reduces your exposure to. I remember there's also internal fraud. Agents. Fraud is moving to agent locations in the first instance, and then a lot of internal pollution, is also taking place. So all those things need to be properly handled. But there are professional things that you do. The insurance is the external one. But then your processes will not be set up, background checks and all this kind of stuff to ensure that you don't necessarily expose yourself, to avoidable risk. That doesn't mean there won't be issues, but that is really the purpose of working as part of an ecosystem.
Okay, great. So I'll take 3 more, so a few questions. What can be done if your account has been credited for AGMAC's natural loan before COVID-19 and you're unable to withdraw because the officer has refused to come and inspect the piggery because it is situated outside Lagos?
I share your pain. Unfortunately, there will be nothing. Because that is part of the disbursement requirement. Some physical visitation needs to be put in place. But I had a conversation some days ago, and I'm aware that part of what is being considered is similar to what we're doing. Maybe they'll connect to you on WhatsApp and they will tell you to put them, show them around your, your whatever. But that's not official. I'm not an official. I'm aware something like that is being looked into. But I share your pain. Until they can inspect, there's really nothing that can be done.
This officer
just be spending the money in your head in the meantime.
This officer that is inspecting, Okay, that's because of lockdown. Is this officer?
Yes, it's
Is it a bank officer or an agent?
perfect. They are agents. That's what I said. You understand? Those are now going to be the jobs of agents, So if there was an agent in your local community now, it is that agent that will have come to do that inspection. You won't need to be waiting for somebody to travel from afar. So we're talking about a need for us to have an agent. Remember the numbers. We're talking about 85,000 professional agents that are required. If you break it down, it's just about 10 per ward. It's not as if it's that much so don't let the numbers scare you. It's just 10 people per ward, but when you now have local agents on ground, when somebody needs to come and do an inspection, the person is just, not too far distance away. In actual fact, that question is why we're having this session. Because those are now going to be the requirements. Local agents are now the ones that will be doing the last mile because people are not going to be traveling long distances to finalize such transactions.
Clear. Okay, someone's asking, I want to know the interest rate per annum and the duration of the repayment of the loan. Thank you, from Princess Fetuga. I think it's 5%.
Yes. So let me be more general. The development finance loan is maximum 9% per annum. So it can come down to as low as even 2% in some instances. But 5% is a fair expectation. So anything between 5 to 9% will be what to expect. Usually it's 3 years, and there's usually provision for moratorium. Sometimes averagely is 1 year. But it can be longer. There are 7-year loans, 2-year moratorium, 5-year loans, So it will depend on the business plan that you put in place. But the COVID palliative is particularly 3 years, 1-year moratorium.
Okay. So I'll just ask I'll just batch a few questions together now, and it'll be the last one will be answered. So I like this question. Modi says, we know that default rate in Nigeria is high. So how people get arrested and harassed for defaulting? How will the agents be protected from all of this? I don't think it's the agent's business. But
you're an agent, yes. You're an agent. Yeah. So your job is to qualify the applicant support. So you are providing support services. However, there have been instances of collusion by agents, and that has become part of the issues that the industry has had to grapple with. What we try to do is, even the process for qualifying agents at a certain level is not as simple as just bringing anybody anyhow and all of that. So agents will not be harassed if they have not done something they are not supposed to do. But I know agents that have been arrested for fraud, and the amounts are fairly substantial. I know someone that we diverted about 200 million.
Wow.
An agent.
Wow.
Okay. So if you do the right thing, nobody is going to come and arrest you because the customer didn't pay. You are not the one that borrowed the money. It is the customer that borrowed the money. But if there is evidence of collusion, clearly that's a criminal issue, and the agent will, become liable at that. Very important question about, we're relying a lot on systems. Personally, I'm very good at apps and borrow money remotely because that number tracks you. What is being put in place now is what we call the senior brother of BVN, which will now even provide more information about you, and it will be possible for you to do, practically go online and borrow, apply for even much higher amounts, and the agent is just going to be available to you to provide you with the local support, and of course the agent will get paid handsomely for that. So systems are going to be relied on quite a lot to meet up with. In actual fact, some of the COVID loans that were approved last week, a lot of people are having challenges because they had previous loan issues, which was now flagged by necessary and say, look, we have approved your loan, but you have a bad credit report, and we give you 1 month to go and sort it out. So technology will play a big role moving forward for sure.
Okay. Someone is asking a question here. Do they need to register centrally? I think it's Mrs. Adeward that is asking this question. Does one need to register centrally before approaching institutions to be their agents, or do you just apply to institutions?
Yes, so that's our job.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so our job is to guide you through all the relationships that you need to get into and do your business.
Okay. So I think I'll try and find a way to capture all these questions. Let me just save all the questions, and then maybe we can, so that we can have them ahead of the next conversation, so that we don't have to begin to do them one by one. We have about 37 questions answered and 44 to go. And I think, for people's concentration levels and data capability, it may be a good idea to pause it at this junction before people need to collect loan to stay online. But I think it's been very interesting. I think if we put all these questions together, we can, I'm sure we can handle this in 30 minutes and get it over with. And then the other questions that people want to ask, we can fill them as well. We like to be able to at least do this in 1 hour, so that the audio recording that you need to listen to after is not so long that becomes a burden to watch as well. I don't know if you have any parting shots for us, Mr. Sola. I think it's been fun having you. We have not delved into how much is goldnaira.com at the very beginning.
Oh well.
But is there any parting shot?
It's not as much as I would have loved, but I'm not complaining. So let's all be safe. God keep all of us. A lot of things are going to change moving forward, and what we need to do is not to despair, is to realign ourselves for the opportunities that are going to happen. I think the gentleman that asked the question that his loan has been approved, but the guy refused to come on. That is why we're having this session, and I think that question summarizes it. So the opportunity is there, the money is there, and this industry is growing in leaps and bounds, and that is just the future. Everything is just going to go digital and localized, and for us to plug into it is the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So someone is asking, and I think I can close with this. Someone is asking, is there a detailed step-by-step training on how to set up a financial inclusion center? I think it's one of the things that you will do for us the moment we have a number of us that have been approved from the green community for this. I'm sure there will be a training package that comes together with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And someone is asking, what is the amount that is required? I think in the document that we have shared as well, you probably need somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 million aside of the rent for the space you already have. I'm going to send through the groups the documents that shows you how much is required, the document that shows you what your income potentials are. I'm going to share that document. I'm going to share the PDF, and I'm going to share it in Excel so that I can play with the document as well to see what you can come up with out of it. We're going to do this meeting again. I'm hoping maybe a weekend so that people are not in commutes. We can have like 500 people in the room listening and asking their questions. We'll curate a few of this so that everybody can get to listening again. We'll announce the meeting time once I can confirm it with Mr. Bickersteth. So I'd like to thank everybody, very much for being here today. Sorry, I'm sure I got your confirmation that we'll get training. Yes?
No, training is actually a very important part of it. Okay, we're moving you at a professional level.
Yeah.
So there's a very comprehensive training that is involved. Very comprehensive, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. So, and for everybody else who is listening, one of the reasons why we are communicating with Mr. Shola and trying to form this kind of partnership is because for our own normal business that we drive as well, we also use space. And my own thinking was, that space can be collaborative. You don't have to pay for venue twice. You don't have to pay for the location twice. You can use the same venue and then have auxiliary offices where you can do training, where you can engage with people, and it can be fun like that. I think one of the things we also need to learn going forward is how to maximize the use of the space, because in the world where we are all on lockdown and people are doing social distancing and we don't want too many people gathering together, we need to become creative in how we use one space to achieve many things. So all of the potentials of what is possible within there will be shared within the groups. If you're not in the group, ask the person that invited you to this meeting. uh, if you don't have anybody that invited you to the meeting, I can provide you with a link, but I also don't want to provide you a link that will clash with the link that other people have provided you. It's important that you are in only one of the group communities. We're going to have basically moving people off to a Facebook group as well, so that we can have everybody together in one space. But if you are not in any community already, please ask the person that invited you. If there's nobody that invited you and you got here by a miracle, I don't know how that works. Uh, but I'm sure you can find a way to connect with someone. I'll give a link as well, but the problem with the link I'll give you is by the time I give you that link, the link has like 20 people more to go. It will be filled up. And I don't know if that's really what we want to do. So thank you, everybody, for coming here today. I'm sure it's been worth your time today. I'm sure you have learned a lot. I'm going to continue the conversation with you, sir, so that we can ensure that we know how we want to close this on Saturday. A
No
lot of people
problem.
are interested. A lot of people have pushed there, whatever in. I've told them it closed yesterday. I don't know if we can get a little extension so that we can get a few more people interested to apply. I don't think everybody will need a loan. I think some people will be able to do this directly themselves. I think those who need a loan, will apply for it. If they qualify, they'll get it. If they are not qualified, then they need to set it up on their own. Thank you very much once again. We appreciate it.